The CEO froze mid-step. The boardroom's glass doors were still swinging behind him when he heard it. A quiet janitor in a faded blue uniform, switching effortlessly between French, Mandarin, and Arabic as he helped lost interns find their meeting rooms. The CEO had just walked past a man he'd seen every day for years, but never heard. And in that moment, he realized he might have just met the most extraordinary person in the entire building. Rain pattered softly against the skyscraper's windows as dawn broke over the city. Inside the glossy marble lobby of Argent Global, employees hurried in, clutching coffees, checking emails, their shoes tapping in rhythmic urgency. Amid all the suits and polished heels, a man named Samuel quietly pushed his mop across the floor, humming a tune from somewhere far away, maybe from his childhood, maybe from a place none of them could imagine. To everyone else, Samuel was invisible. He came in before the meetings began and left after the last light in the boardroom went out. Most employees knew his name only because it was stitched onto his uniform. But if anyone had paused long enough to talk to him, they would have realized he carried stories and skills that could rival anyone sitting in the CEO's corner office. That morning, a young intern from France entered, looking lost and nervous. She stopped near the elevators, holding her phone up for directions. Samuel noticed her and smiled kindly. "Vous cherchez la salle de conférence du 5e étage?" he asked in fluent French. Her eyes widened. "Oui! You speak French?" Before she could recover from her surprise, another intern, this one from China, approached. Samuel effortlessly switched tongues. 早上好，你也去5楼吗? The Chinese intern blinked in disbelief. "You speak Mandarin too?" Samuel just chuckled softly. A third person approached, an Arab client, confused about where to sign in. "Sabah al-khair, al-maktab al-raisi hunak, Sayyidi," Samuel said warmly, guiding him to the reception desk. And that's when he saw it. Alexander Grant, the 52-year-old CEO of Argent Global, standing frozen at the entrance, coffee halfway to his lips. He had walked through that lobby every day for 8 years, greeting Samuel with a distracted nod, never once looking him in the eye. But now he was watching the janitor speak 9 languages as if they were second nature. Alexander set his coffee down and approached. "Samuel," he said slowly, still trying to process what he'd witnessed. How many languages do you speak?" Samuel paused, his eyes kind but modest. 9, sir. Maybe 10 if you count the few I can read." The CEO blinked. 9, Samuel nodded. "Yes, sir. I used to work as a translator for an NGO before. Life brought me here." Something in the way he said it, "Life brought me here," stuck with Alexander. From that moment, Alexander couldn't shake the thought of Samuel. The rest of the day, meetings blurred together. The numbers, the charts, the endless strategies, all of it suddenly felt small. That night, long after the office had emptied, Alexander found Samuel still there, cleaning the glass doors. "Samuel," he said softly, "would you sit with me for a minute?" Samuel looked surprised, hesitant, but he nodded. They sat in the quiet boardroom, city lights shimmering through the glass. "I have to ask," Alexander said, leaning forward. "How does a man who speaks 9 languages end up mopping floors in my building?" Samuel smiled faintly, his eyes distant. "I had a different life once. I was a linguist for a refugee organization. I traveled to war zones, translated for people seeking safety. But when the conflict came too close, I had to leave. No home, no papers, no way to prove who I was. I came here, took whatever job I could. This one, it lets me survive." For the first time in years, Alexander felt something stir in him. Not pity, but respect. He realized this man who cleaned his office floors had likely seen more of the world and understood more of humanity than anyone sitting at his executive table. That night, Alexander made a decision. The next morning, the entire office buzzed with confusion. A company-wide email had been sent out. Mandatory all-staff meeting, 9 a.m. sharp. No one knew why. When everyone gathered in the atrium, Alexander stepped up to the podium. Behind him stood Samuel, wearing not his janitor's uniform, but a crisp gray suit. Alexander smiled at the stunned faces before him. "Today," he began, "I want to introduce someone extraordinary. Someone who's been among us all along, but whom many of us, myself included, have failed to truly see. He gestured to Samuel. This is Samuel. He speaks 9 languages. He's helped people from every corner of the world. And starting today, he'll be leading our new global outreach and cultural integration department. The room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Then slowly, applause began. First from the interns, then from the managers, until the whole building echoed with it. Samuel stood still, eyes wide, tears threatening to fall. He looked over at Alexander, who nodded quietly, a knowing smile on his face. When the applause finally died down, Samuel stepped forward to speak. "I used to believe I had lost everything," he said, voice trembling. "My home, my work, my purpose. But this company, even unknowingly, gave me a second chance. So I'll spend the rest of my days making sure no one here ever feels unseen, unheard, or undervalued. Because every person, no matter their job, has a story worth listening to." The crowd erupted again, but this time it wasn't just applause. It was respect. Weeks later, Argent Global changed in ways no one could have predicted. The janitorial staff got better pay and training opportunities. A mentorship program was launched to help immigrants and underprivileged workers find their footing. And Samuel's department became the heart of it all, translating for clients, breaking cultural barriers, and teaching everyone that true leadership begins with empathy. One evening, long after everyone had gone home, Alexander stood by the window, watching the city lights flicker. Samuel walked in, smiling as he carried 2 cups of coffee. "You know," Alexander said quietly, "you reminded me of something I forgot long ago, that success isn't about titles or offices. It's about people." Samuel chuckled. "Then maybe, sir, we both found what we were missing." They clinked their coffee cups together. 2 men from different worlds, one who had built an empire, and one who had lost everything but his spirit. Both finally understanding that the true language of greatness isn't spoken. It's felt. And from that day on, everyone who entered Argent Global knew one simple truth. Sometimes the most extraordinary people are the ones we pass by every day, quietly carrying worlds within them.